Everyone to this webinar on retirement savings options for small businesses. Cameron, you want to just move the slide? My name is Christina Odleifson, and I'm a business advisor with the Maine Small Business Development Center at USM. And I am joined today by Cameron Monahan from the Workforce Solutions Group at Coastal Enterprises. Next slide. Before we jump in, there are a couple things for you to know. The first is that this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on our public YouTube channel. So if there's any reason you want to not be seen, you can always turn off your camera. You will be sent the slides from this presentation in a follow-up email, which is usually typically within a week. And please just put questions in the chat and we will have time to answer those at the end. For those of you who are not familiar with the Maine Small Business Development Center, we're an organization that is essentially the result of a partnership between the federal government, the state government, and the University of Southern Maine. And we exist to really support the small business ecosystem in the state. And we do that by providing no-cost confidential business advising services. And the core of what we do is really one-on-one advising with people. And the topics you see in front of you are things that we talk about all the time. But we're open to any kind of questions. We're not legal or accounting experts. So if you do have more specific questions in those areas, we always recommend that you speak with a professional. You can also sign up for our newsletter through our website, which has great up-to-date information on all things related to small businesses. And we have regular webinars like this where you can go to our YouTube channel and have really easy access to, I think, probably hundreds of webinars at this point on all kinds of different topics. Next slide. And I'm going to let Cameron tell you a little bit about Coastal Enterprises, and then we will launch into our topic.
Great, thank you. So Coastal Enterprises, or CEI, we are a community development financial institution, or CDFI, and we exist in a couple of different spaces, the primary purpose of which is lending to small businesses. So we offer a variety of different loan products, from our Wicked Fast program to traditional loans, all these other things, to help your business get financing. If potentially, you have struggled to attract it from traditional for-profit lenders like banks. We also provide confidential one-on-one business advising, webinars, informational sessions, which is probably going to sound familiar to the last slide. Our Workforce Solutions team, which I'm a member of, provides advising based solely around things related to your staff and workforce. So any situation that you're having with navigating benefits like retirement savings, health insurance, if you're looking to attract or retain talent and you'd like to bounce some ideas on how to do that, if you would like people to review job descriptions or employee manuals, CEI's Workforce Solutions team is here to provide that assistance to you completely for free with one-on-one meetings. So if that's anything you're interested in, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is on these slides. And we also have a team focused on green energy installation at businesses, solar, renewable energy, stuff like that. So that's kind of the quick summary of what CEI does. And with that, then I will get into our topic today. So we're going to be covering a couple of things. First of all, just why retirement savings is important, both for the perspective of a business owner and also if you do have employees, the perspective of keeping your employees around, why this is something that you should even care about in the first place. Next, we're going to talk about, what situation are you and your business in? I'm going to give a couple of different examples for the type of ways you might be thinking about your goals with adding retirement savings through your business or personally saving towards your retirement, and why you may want to do what you may want to do depending on your situation. So then we'll talk about what options best correspond to the situation that you find yourself in. Then lastly, there is a new state law. I say new, it's almost a year old now, but called Merit. And it is a mandatory retirement savings program that impacts businesses in the state with 5 or more employees. So we'll talk about that. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're growing, or if you already are at that threshold of five or more employees, this is something that you may want to be aware of to make sure that you're regulating with it, or you're in compliance with this new regulation. And then lastly, we'll open this up to questions and answers and try to answer any of the things that may come up throughout this presentation. So we're going to start off with why retirement savings are important for this slide mostly says for the business perspective. The chart on the left here shows that of all private sector employees in Maine, 41% of them, roughly 207,000 people, do not have access to workplace retirement savings. For small businesses, which I'm pretty sure everybody here probably falls into that bucket, that number increases to 78%. This is concerning for a couple of reasons. First, people who are offered retirement through work are 15 times more likely to actually save for retirement than people who have no workplace retirement savings benefit. Um, that is really significant because people who retire and don't have any kind of retirement account set up will rely explicitly on Social Security, and that can be a struggle to get by on the same quality of life that you were having while you were working, and oftentimes would lead to having to navigate, other social programs based solely off of that Social Security income. And there's no guarantee that any of these social programs will, remain funded, or if they'll be more funded or less funded in the future, right? And you don't really want to leave everything up to the current, political climate and putting strain on social programs if you have the opportunity to plan ahead and contribute, to a retirement plan while you're still earning, whether that be as a business owner or as an employee. And then lastly, from the small business perspective, having no workplace retirement savings plan makes it more difficult to attract and retain talent compared to larger employers who do offer retirement savings plans, oftentimes with, generous matching policies or company contributions, right? So this can further the gap between smaller businesses and the ability to attract and retain talent versus larger businesses. And oftentimes, basic benefits like retirement savings, health insurance are listed right up there with compensation, with wage, pay, as some of the most important things that people are looking for, potential job seekers are looking for when they're deciding where to apply or, which job offers to accept. And these issues that are shown by this slide here are the reasons why the state added a mandatory retirement plan for workplace that allows people to save. But I think it's also important to show that, if you are a business owner and maybe you're, not approaching retirement age, but it's time to start thinking about it, right? You're also not alone in not being, prepared, not fully understanding this stuff, not having a plan, right? There are plenty of other small businesses and small business owners that are in the exact same situation as you, which is why it's really important to, attend workshops like this, or do a little bit of research, speak to a business advisor, the SBDC or CEI's Workforce Solutions team, to learn more about these things so that you can help navigate this space of retirement savings and increase the situation that you are in when you ultimately reach retirement age. So now we're going to talk about how to think about the situation that you are in. And I have four boxes here that I think cover the vast majority of situations that business owners may look at and think, yeah, this is what I'm dealing with right now. So we'll start with the top left here, which is just that you are looking for a plan primarily for yourself. You are either a solopreneur or you own and run a very, very small operation or small business with terms of employees, and you are primarily interested in how you can save for your own retirement and put yourself in a better situation when you ultimately reach retirement age. And you can do this either through your business. There are some good programs that exist that allow you to save through your business with some tax advantages, which we'll talk about. Or, you are just interested in some other opportunities that exist for you to put some money aside and save as an individual. So that's the first situation. The next one is you view retirement savings as a workplace benefit, and you're either looking to hire or you have some staff that have expressed a desire for having retirement savings. You think that it's something that could help with retention, and you see it as a benefit that will help you compete with other businesses that operate in your same sector, industry, and kind of set you apart as an employer. So we'll talk about then what are some options for someone in that situation. Then there's the mix of those, which is you're looking for a plan for both your employees, but you'd also like to be able to save through the business on that plan for yourself. If you're in that situation, what does that look like? And then lastly is, you're not fully sold on this idea of going out and adding retirement savings as a benefit, but there's this state law, and you definitely don't want to not be in compliance with the state law and get slapped with some fines, right? So that last bucket we'll talk about, how to make sure you're in accordance and in compliance with any of the regulations that the state may have related to this program. So we're going to start off with our addressing our like solopreneurs, sole proprietors, small LLCs, and if you're looking for a plan for yourself. So the first program we're going to talk about is called the SEP IRA, and these are really, really ideal and very much so tailored towards small operations. So if you have like one or two employees that you're, very close with, if you have maybe an employee but they're in the family, or ideally if your business is just you as the owner operator or self-employed business owner, something like that, a SEP IRA is probably the best situation you can find yourself in. The benefit of a SEP IRA is it is incredibly flexible. They have really low startup costs and fees, and you can, on behalf of the business, contribute up to 25% of your earnings or salary annually, up to $70,000. So this is the most generous in terms of contribution limit of all the plans that we're going to talk about today. And it's also the most flexible. You can change this contribution annually. So year to year, you can set it at whatever you want it to be, depending on the cash flow of your business. Um, it's a tax advantage plan, so you can deduct any contributions that you make from the business's taxable income. But the reason why I say that this program is really ideal for a very, very small operation or someone where it's, it's really only you, is the rule with the SEP IRA is that if you set aside a percentage for yourself, you also have to do it for all of your employees, right? So that makes it a difficult benefit to administer if you have multiple employees that are outside of the family, because that flexibility of saving 17% one year because you had a good year and like you're trying to load up a retirement account for yourself and your own retirement goals, you would also then have to save 70% of or 17% of what your staff's annual wages are, right? So if you then change that the following year, right, your staff's going to be like, wait, what about our benefit? Why is it now less? Why is it more, right? So the flexibility and the contribution percentage is really, really great if you are primarily using your business as a way to save for your own retirement savings, and or if you are very, very a very, very small operation and you can afford to, if you're planning on using a large contribution for yourself, you can afford to make that same contribution for your staff, and they'd be able to understand why this benefit may fluctuate year to year. Any employer, including a sole proprietor, partnership, LLC, can establish a SEP plan, as long as there's one or more employee, and that includes self-employed business owners. So another important thing here, just in case you do add this and you do have another person on staff, is that in a SEP IRA, employees are not allowed to contribute at all. All the contributions must come directly from the business. So that's something, this is not like a plan with a match or anything like that that you may be familiar with. If you've worked in an environment that has a 401k or a simple IRA, this is all, business-led, employer-driven. So that's our first option for business owners who are primarily looking to use their business to get a plan that allows them a ton of flexibility and tax benefits for investing in their own retirement plan. Next is another one that we're going to talk about. This is really just it's not technically a workplace retirement plan. There is one exception to that, which we will discuss later. But a Roth IRA is an individual retirement account. And I threw this on here because even though it may not be administered through your business, if you are a sole proprietor or a business owner and you are interested in a pretty great plan to start saving for retirement, opening a Roth IRA is one of the most simple and best decisions that you can make in terms of just like navigating retirement savings. You can get a Roth from pretty much anywhere nowadays, anywhere where you're doing your banking. There are, apps where you can do like online banking that have Roth IRAs. Your big ones that you've heard of, Fidelity, Vanguard. You can open a Roth IRA through all of those. And again, a Roth IRA, it's a personal investment account. It's separate from your business. And you can open this as an individual in your own name. You won't be able to contribute through your business. You will have to first, pay yourself. That money will have to go through your bank account. You'll have to pay taxes on it, and then contribute it into the Roth IRA. So one thing about a Roth is that the contributions are all post-tax, and they're non-deductible. But the benefit to that is that they grow tax-free. So, you always have to choose when you pay the taxes. You either pay them at the point of depositing them, like in a Roth, where they've already been paid. And then when you go to take that money out, once you reach retirement age, there's absolutely no tax burden on doing so. Or if you're investing in a tax deferred plan, then you pay the taxes when you go to take that out once you reach retirement age. So with a Roth, you don't have to worry about that. Your contributions are all post tax, which is great. And the contribution limits for this, now you'll start to see why the SEP is a pretty crazy high contribution limit. For a Roth IRA, it is $7,000 a year if you are under 50. And if you are over 50, they allow up to 8,000 as sort of a way to like catch up on contributions as you approach retirement age. One thing that I'll call out here, because it's on the slide, is state program merit, the one that we're going to talk about a little bit later. That is basically a workplace Roth IRA. So it is a Roth IRA that is offered through your employment. But without getting into the details of that yet, you can also open up an individual Roth using the state program, which can be an appealing option if you anticipate ever potentially having to, go to work somewhere later on in your life, or maybe you have a job that is at a business that would be offering merit as a state plan, because that you can carry that account with you throughout your life. So just when you're considering like private businesses to open a Roth IRA through, you do have your banks, you have your credit unions, you have your retirement, big like money management firms. But you can also opt in as an individual to using the state program, even if you're not mandated or required by the state to offer it through your business. And doing that can be nice because then if you ever end up working at a place that offers it, you get to keep the account and makes it a little bit more of an easier transition. So just want to call that out. All right, so next we're going to talk about what if you find yourself in a situation where you're really considering a retirement account as a benefit for your employees? And the two situations that I think are best summarized here is, you are primarily viewing this as this will help you attract and retain talent, or you have a number of employees and you want to use your business to save for both their retirement and your own. So the best option here that I would recommend is a simple IRA. This is a great option for if you have employees outside the home and you are looking for a very low cost and easy to administer benefit to attract and retain those staff. So some providers offer like no setup fees and minimal admin fees that are a percentage of the investments that are being managed. Others will offer like flat fees that are annually charged per employee or participant in the program. So, and those range from anywhere from like $20 to $60 per person annually. So the cost of offering this is quite low. Um, you also, as a business owner, can save using a simple IRA. So, owner draws are eligible income that you can then um, set aside a percentage of as contributions towards this simple IRA. If you pay yourself as a W-2 employee, any of the wages that you earn through the business, you can set aside as a taxable amount, and then that would qualify under the contribution, which we'll talk about. You have two options for contributions with a simple IRA. The first is a matching contribution of up to 3% of the wages of your employees or of yourself. So this means that as an individual, you would opt into contributing 3%, and then the business would match that 3%, right? Or you have a 2% non-elective contribution for each employee. This is just a lot easier, I think, to understand. It's just saying and to plan for, really. You're just saying this is 2% across the board of my staff's salaries that I am going to be um, contributing for everybody. And they don't need to put a single dime in, right? It'll be 2% of their wage that the business will put aside for this retirement plan. And people can still contribute if they want, but it's not necessary in order to receive this benefit. I oftentimes recommend this because it's so much easier to project what that's going to cost you as a business owner because you can just look at your payroll and then times it by zero point 0.02, and that will be your contribution for the year, right? And it doesn't matter if the employees opt in or if they're putting in 3% or if half of them aren't, right? None of that matters for you. You don't have to, there's not that variability that there is in the matching contribution. It's non-elective, it's across the board. It's very, very easy for you to forecast what that's actually going to cost the business. Then the contribution limits for this are not quite as high as the SEP IRA, but they're still pretty good. There's a contribution limit of $16,500 per person for people under 50, and then 20,000 for people who are 50 and above. And another cool thing about simple IRAs is they're not quite as universal as a Roth. Like it's not quite as easy to get them, but you can get them through pretty much most banks, and some payroll providers even offer them, which is nice because then that means that you can have full payroll integration, usually at a very, very low cost or free if you're already using the payroll provider. And then there's partnerships between payroll providers and banks. So it makes administering this benefit much easier than you may, you know, anticipate just from thinking about like how to offer a simple IRA and what are the tax details and what does the contributions look like. With a simple IRA that is partnered through a payroll provider or somebody that you're already doing your banking with, it can be really, really easy to administer. This is also the point where I will call out uh, kind of the thing that might be on people's mind if they've worked a previous job at maybe a larger corporation or um, it's really the most familiar term in retirement savings is the 401k. This would be where a 401k would fit in is oftentimes you would offer that if it's primarily saving for your employees. However, we don't often recommend 401ks for small business owners because they offer much the same thing that a simple IRA does, but pretty much across the board, what you will see is far more complex administration, and also far more expensive admin costs. So, what companies charge to administer a 401k is oftentimes way, way more expensive on the business owner and on the business than offering a simple IRA in terms of account fees and management fees and startup costs, right? So obviously, everyone's situation is different, but across the board, I think if you're on the fence between a 401k or a simple IRA or a benefit that you want to offer to your staff, um, simple IRAs 99% of the time will be far more affordable for a small business to offer than any number of the 401k options that are out there. All right, so then next we will talk about what happens when you currently don't offer any kind of retirement plan, but you want to follow the state's law. So this is obviously an important thing. The state has done a decent job of getting this information out there, but I still encounter business owners who have no idea what merit is. So if you fall in this bucket, then this is quite important for you. There's a new state program called Merit. It's the Maine Retirement Investment Trust. And its purpose is to offer a workplace retirement plan to employees, even if their job doesn't have a simple IRA or a 401k or a SEP IRA. So this is to address that big gap that we talked about on that first slide with the charts of the 41% of people that don't have any workplace retirement savings. And they tried to go about this in a way that doesn't cost the business directly anything. So it creates a workplace Roth IRA. So we already talked about Roth IRAs. They're post-tax individual retirement accounts. The big difference with Merit is that you will register as a business and you will upload your roster of employees with their social security number and their contact information. Um, and it will automatically enroll them in a Roth IRA that will be funded directly out of their paycheck. So it cuts out that middleman process of I get paid and the money's in my bank account, and then I decide to go and open up a Roth IRA at my bank. And whenever I get paid, I take a chunk of that paycheck and then put it in the Roth IRA. What Merit allows is for funding of this Roth IRA to come directly at the point of payroll. So the business will withhold a chunk of the paycheck of an employee and then put it towards this retirement account. And by default, if an employee does not opt out, that would be 5% of their paycheck to start. So it is on the business owner to opt to administer this program and upload the roster to the Merit program, to um, add employees when they hire, to remove them from the roster when they leave, and to make sure that the withholdings and the contributions are being done properly. But with a Roth IRA, it is illegal for a business entity to fund it. So as a business owner, this program does not mean that you have to contribute, a match or any amount of money directly to your employees' retirement savings. It's actually forbidden under the program. So if you are interested in a situation like that, where the business can fund a simple IRA, a SEP IRA, are the only options. With Merit, you could not do that. So again, this is important to call out because uh, it's mandatory for businesses with 5 or more employees who currently do not offer a qualified retirement plan. So a simple IRA, a SEP IRA, 401k, anything where they already have workplace retirement savings, you are exempt from this program. But something that's important about that is you still have to log on and register your exemption. So if you are already offering this, if you're already offering retirement savings, or you go out and you select a plan, you need to let the program know so that they don't wrongfully, send you some fines because you haven't registered. It is still the business's responsibility to get on and let them know that you are already offering a plan or that you've selected a plan and that you're no longer going to be offering merit. And then lastly, there is a 2-year window for new businesses where they do not have to offer this. But once that 2 years passes, you are now newly eligible. And then there is a deadline that will come. I believe they're in June and January. So it's twice per year deadline where if you are now newly eligible, whether you passed 2 years of being in business or you hired your fifth employee, you will then need to register your business through this program or register your exemption if you already offer a retirement plan. One other thing I just want to call out about the five or more employees that's important is in the eyes of this program, employees also includes part-time uh, and temporary and seasonal. So that's something that, a lot of businesses, they kind of question like, oh, what is is it full-time employees? Is it year round? So for merit, it is any employee, anyone that you have on payroll counts towards that threshold of five or more employees and would make you eligible for this program. So as I mentioned under the Roth IRA thing as well, if you're an individual, you can use this to set up your own personal Roth. And if you ever end up working at a place that offers merit as a workplace benefit or anything like that, then you get to keep that account, which can be convenient and kind of nice. And then similarly with other Roths, there are no startup costs, there are no direct costs to administer this program for the business. And on the savers end, there are low account fees. It's very, very simple to set this up. I've helped a lot of sole props register as individuals through this program. And, after you've done it a couple times, like I have, they're doing it for the first time. We can get through the registration process in about, 15, 25 minutes. So it's not that difficult to do. But the one thing that I will mention about merit, if you're going to consider this as an option for you as an individual to open a Roth, is that compared to some of the options through banks or through Fidelity or Vanguard or something like that, there are limited investment options. You basically have a selection at this point. They are planning to add more, but at this point, you basically have a selection of like five uh, mutual funds, right? So you can't really get down into like the great level of granularity or choice that you may be able to if you were to go with another option. So yeah, that's pretty much merit. Like I said, the contribution will default to 5%, but the employee at any point can change that. They can opt out entirely. They can reduce it to 1%. They can increase it to 10% until they get to that $7,000 a year that we were talking about for the Roth IRA limit. The other thing is that if nobody does anything, this will also increase by 1% annually until it reaches 10%. So that's if you were completely hands off and you registered your business and the employees didn't opt out, it would automatically start at 5%, then annually increase 1% until it reaches 10% of their contribution. But at any point, they can change that or opt out entirely. So that's all I have for content with the different plans and whatnot. I think one thing that I just thought of when I was talking about the Roth IRA and the fund options that I think is important to call out as well is that retirement accounts are investment accounts. So if you are going into this, and I've met with people before who maybe haven't fully understood the difference between like a retirement account and just like a savings account, right? Like I'm putting money into it, but where is that going, right? So um, in case you fall in that bucket, that's it's a completely fair thing to wonder is like, well, what even is the difference? Retirement accounts are investment accounts, so you're purchasing positions. They could be stocks, bonds, all this other stuff, but the real purpose of a retirement account is to let that money sit there for a very long time until you reach retirement age, right? So nowadays, like you'll hear things in the news about, the markets and fluctuating up, down, all this stuff, right? Is it red or is it green? Try not to get too, worried about that and allow it to discourage you from considering this as an option because this is money that will be sitting there untouched until you reach retirement age, right? There are penalties for taking this money out beforehand, and the real purpose of a retirement account is like long-term growth, where ideally, right, and I can't speak for what the market will do 25 years from now or anything like that, right? But the idea is that like you're setting this money aside and it will grow gradually, slowly, potentially quicker, and sometimes over time. And just be aware of that is that there will be fluctuation. Sometimes the number in the account will be bigger, sometimes it'll be smaller, but largely These are a very long-term commitment that in the end will definitely put you in a better situation than allowing worries about the market to uh, discourage you from saving and end up not having anything set aside for retirement. So with that, then, if anyone does have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. There's my contact information on the slide as well. So these slides will be sent out. So if you have anything that you think of later, you can email me, or if you have something that's a little more specific to your situation that you'd like to talk about in more detail, I'd be happy to. And then I also included some links if you're interested in reading a little more about each of these plans that we talked about and some of their, getting into the more granular nitty-gritty details of them.
Thank you so much, Cameron. I am not seeing any questions in the chat, but if anybody would like to just take themselves off mute, you're welcome to ask your question. Actually, we did just get a question that says from Naomi, I was a little unclear. If you are self-employed solopreneur with no other employees and you file your taxes as an individual, can you set up a SEP IRA?
Yep. So, yes, you can. If as long as you have an employee, which in that situation would be you, you're self-employed, a solopreneur, sole prop, single member LLC, anyone can set up a SEP IRA, correct?
And maybe related to that, Cameron, question I had, just so I'm clear, you do not need to be an S corporation or an employee of the business, and you can take that as a deduction, that those payments as a deduction on your business return or is that a deduction on your personal return?
It would be on the business return.
Okay, so you can actually deduct that as a cost, the contributions
Yep.
to lower your taxable profit that's getting taxed. Okay, cool. A follow-up question. I'm getting married next year. If I'm self-employed and currently file my taxes as a self-employed individual, will I still be able to use a SEP IRA if my spouse and I file our taxes jointly after marriage?
Um, that's a good question. You gave this earlier about the business advising. I am not like a accountant or a tax attorney or anything. That I do not know the answer right off the top of my head. But I can definitely see if I can get you an answer and send it as a follow-up email if that's okay. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
yeah.
sure,
My bad.
no problem.
Definitely the tax stuff, like with filing. I wouldn't want to give you the wrong information or anything on that. So,
Yeah. I also had another question, Cameron. Just so I'm clear. So you can set up as a solopreneur, you can opt into the merit program as yourself.
correct. Yes.
Okay. And related, are you seeing payroll companies charging to administer, to send that money over to the state as an extra
Yes,
fee? Yeah.
yes. Unfortunately, they are. They will offer as an optional service to be like, oh yeah, we'll handle it all for you, right? We'll handle registering the business. We'll handle contributions, stuff like that. And the fees can vary obviously drastically depending on the payroll company. But one thing that I will say is the actual process itself is quite easy. The program does a very good job of having like videos that will guide you through how to make the contributions yourself, um, how to update depending on what the employee's percentage is, right? Stuff like that. How to do the withholdings and how to link your bank account, your business's bank account, so that the money's going directly to the program. I think it is something that can be done without integrating it with your payroll service. I mean, certainly if you're in a situation where you can afford to do that and it's just peace of mind, you'd rather have the payroll company do it, that's perfectly okay. But I do think that, prior to just like rushing out and saying like, yeah, I'll pay, $400 a year or whatever it is, right, for you to do this. Um, Maybe I would encourage business owners to give it a try because I've heard and I've seen that it's not that time consuming. I mean, obviously, time's a very, very important resource for small business owners. I get that. But it is not the worst thing. So it could be a way to save some money um, and not have to pay a payroll company to do that.
I had one client who recently set up her business, and her payroll company used it as an opportunity to upsell her for their retirement plan, and it was presented in a very confusing way. She thought she was doing merit, and she had signed up for a different kind of um, retirement program through her payroll company. So, yeah, I guess you just want to be really clear what you're doing when you're working with your payroll company on this.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Okay, well, this will be posted, as we said, on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and kind of think through, I know that all of this stuff can be kind of confusing when you first encounter it. And thank you for the links, because I think that'll be a great way for people to think some more about this. But really, really helpful. And yes, so important considering, Social Security may not be the only thing you want to rely on.
Yeah, thank you all very much for attending and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And actually, just a quick question to you, Cameron. So people can call you at CEI as small business owners, and you will help them walk through these options and figure it out for themselves. Is that
Absolutely.
correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we have business advisors, and then basically anytime that they receive a question that's more so in like the workforce space, whether it be a labor law, navigating new policy changes, or benefits or anything like that, then they connect with me. And anytime I do one of these, right, I'll just give you like that's my contact information directly. If you have questions, I'd be more than happy to contact or connect with anyone who attended this or is watching it directly and answer any questions they have. So
Okay. Terrific. Thanks, Cameron.
perfect. Thank you.